Not Too Late at 58, the podcast for those of a certain age who say, yes, why not? Hello and welcome to this podcast series called Not Too Late at 58. I'm Annie Weir and I turned a lifetime dream into a reality when I was 58 by writing and publishing my first novel. So I'm living proof that it is not too late at 58, hence the name and hence my new passion to help other people of a certain age to achieve their ambitions. You don't actually need to be 58, of course, or want to write a novel. If you'd like to know more about me and Not Too Late at 58, just hop back to the first episode in the series. In the last podcast, I encouraged you to visualise or daydream your goal and imagine it happening in the present tense. So now it's time to take that and make it into a plan to move forward. Well, the first bit's really nice. It's taking that dream and getting it down on paper or computer or even as a picture. It's condensing that dream in such a way that it meets the following criteria. It needs to be really specific. It's not enough to say, oh, I'd like a little business that'll bring in some income as I get older. You need to say what type of business it is, how much income it's bringing in. Visualise having achieved it. Where are you? What are you doing? How do you feel? What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell and taste? And who else, if anybody, is there with you? And how do you know you've achieved your goal? What's the date? What's the time? Make it real. Also, note the way that I phrased the points that you need to note down. So you don't say, I want to have achieved something. State it as though you already have, like it's happening right now. And in the last podcast, I gave you my example of retiring to live in Malta. And here's another one about a cake shop. It is the 30th of April, 2022. I've just finished the accounts for my own cake shop in Bramley-on-Sea. I have achieved my goal of making enough money to pay off the bank loan in my first year, and the trend suggests I'll make double that next year. I've always loved baking, and now I'm surrounded by the smell of it and the satisfaction of watching my customers choose their treat for the day. I love to hear their comments and their compliments. I feel happy in my life and work, and I'm pleased that the redundancy I faced 2 years ago made me rethink my career. My sister lives nearby. She helps me in the shop, and she will be around later to help me celebrate a really good life decision. The champagne is chilling down nicely. So if you'd like a few more examples of how to phrase your visualization, there's a link below this podcast player, and just click on that and I will email them over to you to give you a bit of a steer on how to write your own. So have a go at expressing your goal in this way. Try and bring it to life, as I say, so it's happening right now. See, hear it, sniff the air, taste the coffee, and most importantly, notice how you feel. So now comes the planning. I'm going to assume that it's going to take 3 years to achieve your dream. So obviously, if it's going to take longer, start at a later date. And describe what is happening at that point as you did in the activity above, noting down now the actual date of when it's happening. Now, you may achieve your goal in less than 3 years, of course. So in the cake shop example that I've just read out, the 3-year point might be different. So it might go like this. It's 30th of April 2022. I've just finished the accounts for my second full year as owner of a cake shop in Bramley-on-Sea. I've achieved my goal of increasing my sales of 100% on year 1, so I can afford to take on a full-time member of staff. And I've just booked my first holiday in 2 years. I really enjoy my new life and now feel secure in it too. So that's the big goal. And of course, you can't jump straight from where you are now to that. So the next thing to do is to break it down into achievable chunks. So regardless of how many years hence you decided you were going to have achieved your goal, jump to 1 year from now. Do the same visualization. What have you achieved so far towards your goal? Where are you? What can you see? What can you hear? What you're feeling? And hopefully you aren't in bed staring in the darkness and listening to the town clock chiming the hours away through the night. Then jump to a point 6 months from now and do the same. What have you achieved so far towards your goal? Same questions as before. Now jump to a point 3 months from now and do the same. What have you achieved so far towards achieving your goal? Again, state the answers in the present tense as though you have already achieved it. You're already there. And by doing this exercise, you can see what you need to make a start on in order to achieve the goal, which may at the moment seem a long way off. Or, it could be a goal that you must achieve quickly, so there isn't much time. Either way, by establishing these key milestones, you can break down what you need to do and when, so that when you check on your progress, you can gauge what you need to do in the next block of time. So now that you've got shorter and hopefully more achievable steps, you can start to think about how you're actually going to achieve them. And this is the time to draft out the 3-month plan. Break that down into 1-month blocks with what you're going to achieve in each, and then start the to-do lists. So in month 1, list 3 things you need to do in month 1 to move forward. List 3 things you need to do in month 2 to move forward. List 3 things you need to do in month 3 to move forward. Then break month 1 down into weeks, and for each week list 3 key things you need to do to move forward. Then break week 1 down into what you're able to do each day. You might also think about when you're going to take these actions. Our days tend to have routines, so only you know when is a good time to give your attention to your new venture. When I was writing Judith Wants to Be Your Friend, 5 o'clock in the afternoon was my time to sit down and write, edit, plan or research, whatever the action was for that day. And it took a surprisingly short time for this to become part of my daily routine. Routines are very important and they're very powerful, and they reduce the likelihood that you'll put things off for another day or another week or a month, etc. And I bet you know what I mean. And by the way, I found that 5 o'clock in the afternoon was good for me, but another woman on the course said she got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to study, as it was the only time of day when she could get an hour on her own in the house. So when you're down to the specifics, it forces you to think about how you're going to tackle each task. And just before we finish, a couple of tips. For each week, highlight which is the most important task you need to do and make sure you do that one. And for each week, highlight which is the most difficult task for you to do. And if you can, get that one out of the way early. And don't overwhelm yourself with too many tasks. It's better to have 3 meaningful ones and get them done than it is to have 10 that don't get done. So if this whole thing seems a bit overwhelming, please visit my website and see how I can help you. There's the online course, the weekend workshop, and one-to-one mentoring with me. You're welcome to have the pro formas to do these planning stages, and just let me know. I'll email them over. And good luck with that, and bye for now, and I'll see you next time when I'll talk about motivation. See you then.